Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Ascent, the live stream powered by Meridian Technology Center. I am Julie Griffin, one of the project managers here, and I'm so excited for our guest today. His name is Kyle Eastham, and I'm going to bring him out right now. Hello, Kyle.
Hi, Julie. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey, you got the memo. Like, we matched today.
That's
Look at us
right.
go. Look at us go. So before we jump in, I do want to go ahead and invite you, if you're watching, because this is being streamed to Meridian's platform, to my LinkedIn, to Kyle's LinkedIn, I think to Meridian's Facebook, a bunch of different platforms. So please drop a comment and let us know that you are here watching, because if you don't, we don't know that you're here. We just have a little eyeball that tells me we have people watching. And if you are watching from either my platform or Kyle's, I would ask you to please go like Meridian's page. That way you can keep up with all the wonderful things happening here at Meridian. And on the Meridian side, it says we have 12 people watching over there. So thank you for being here. Please drop a comment so we can say hi. And first off, we do have somebody saying hi. So hi, Chris Hennessy, watching over on my page. So thank you for being here. He's a big not Facebook, live streamer, LinkedIn user. Taylor's commenting from the Facebook side. I'm excited to hear from Kyle too. I've heard lots of good things about you, Kyle. And so we're going to have a live conversation about it. So
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Without further ado, please feel free to continue commenting if you are here, and we will include you in the conversation. And with that, just take it away, Kyle. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why I wanted to have you on the live stream.
Okay. We'll try to be concise here. I've done a few things over the years. Student at Oklahoma State, worked for the state wildlife department in Oklahoma for over 20 years, in law enforcement, HR training, started a speaking and training business. I wound up teaching in the business school at Oklahoma State University in entrepreneurship. I wanted to be, that's right, wanted to be a better entrepreneur. So I took those classes. Then when I finished a master's in entrepreneurship, they said, hey, would you like to teach a class? Yes, I would. So I taught entrepreneurship, including eventually a class called Imagination in Entrepreneurship. And I was a little surprised when the department head say, hey, we want you to teach this creativity class. I kind of looked around like, is he talking to me? Because I didn't think I was that creative, but he had faith in me, and it turned out to be one of the favorite classes I've ever taught. And so they say, if you really want to learn something, you should teach it. And that was certainly true in this regard. So now I get to go help other people learn to be more creative.
Cool. I know when you sent me like your bulleted bio, and I was looking at wildlife department, judo instructor, Oklahoma State, like what a non-conventional career path, maybe.
Yeah, couldn't decide
But
what I wanted to be when I grew up, apparently.
I understand the feeling. I understand the feeling. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about maybe what you learned from teaching that class and how maybe your background has kind of interwoven itself and what we can learn from that.
Okay. To start with, I'm a firm believer, certainly now, after having taught that class for a number of semesters and corporate workshops on creativity. I don't believe that either you're creative or you're not. Now, there certainly may be a scale. Some of us may be born more creative. I have a good friend, one of the most creative people I know. He asks amazing questions around that creativity piece. I have to work at it a little more than he does. But just like some people have natural gifts on piano or art or other things, that doesn't mean you're either a pianist or you're not. You can get much better at playing the piano if you'll put in the time and effort. And I think that is also the case with creativity, based on some tools, some strategies, and a mindset. People can become more creative than they currently are or think they are. So a lot of it's just a mindset. Um, One of the blocks to creativity is telling yourself, oh, I'd like to help, but I'm just not very creative, Julie. I can't help you on that project.
Yeah.
Well, not with that attitude.
Right.
So I have to get past that, out of my own head and go, okay, maybe I can be creative. Maybe not as creative as that person, as a Picasso or name your favorite songwriter or architect,
Mhm.
but I can be more creative than I have been.
Right.
Um, and then we can talk about some specific tools or techniques if you want.
Very cool. Well, Bradley says imagination was a great class. So
Yes. Hey, Bradley, I remember. Yeah, one of my students, former students.
very good. Very good. I love it when like things kind of come full circle and you have somebody in class and then you learn that they're actually using the information that you taught them. I know
I know it
that feels
is.
pretty good. So how many times have you taught this imagination class?
Um, at Oklahoma State, I probably taught it, I don't know, 8 or 9 semesters.
Okay.
And then I've taught to different associations or corporate groups a number of times in the last few years.
Okay. So over the course of teaching it, how has the course like kind of evolved and changed as you've gone along and how so if it has?
Somewhat, certainly. I took the class as an entrepreneurship student and
Okay.
um, was a little, what's the word? A little, not skeptical, but a little nervous because I thought, well, I'm one of these left brain, analytical, linear types, and I'm not sure how creative. So apparently, I needed a class. Had a great instructor and learned a lot from him. And then, as I said, it was picked to teach that class when he wasn't teaching there anymore, and use some of that material, use some of the research, but then developed some in-class practical exercises. So was very proud that it wasn't just a straight lecture class. Students aren't a big fan of those anyway. So a lot of hands-on. Here's the technique. Let's play with it and see what we come up with. So some days at the beginning of class, I had no idea where we were going to end up at the end of class. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but it was a good demonstration of the different creative inputs from different
Mhm.
students.
I like it. And I think I can relate to that a little bit because like you growing up, I didn't think I was very creative. And that's why I pursued a degree in communications because I thought, oh, if I can do graphic design, I can be creative without being artsy because I'm not artistic at all. So why don't you kind of dive into some of the like tools or strategies that one can use if they want to increase their creativity?
Yeah, a couple of examples, and we can dive deeper into these if you want. One is, so for example, say you have a student in grade school, middle school, or something. They say, we got to come up with a class fundraiser. What, got
Mhm,
any ideas? And it's easy to say, well, I don't know. I'm not very creative, or that's not really my area. So there's some of those blocks again to kind of cop out going, I don't have to play because that's not my thing. I'm not
yeah.
creative. But I would say, so give yourself a quota and say, okay, I'm
Okay.
going to come up with 10 ideas. And 8 of them may be horrible. In fact, 7 or 8 of them probably will be bad ideas. That's okay. In these techniques, we're looking for more ideas, the volume of ideas, knowing that some of them will be bad, but it's kind of like mining for gold. You have to sift through a lot of dirt to get to the nuggets. And so I'd ask you and the people listening, is it more likely if you have 2 ideas that one of those is going to be a brilliant idea? Or is it more likely to find a brilliant idea among a group of 30 potential ideas? So I like more ideas is better. So give yourself a quota, say, okay, it's going to take me more than 20 seconds, but I need to write down at least 10 ideas and see if we can come up with something different. So is it a bake sale? Is it a car wash? Are we going to sell something? Are we going to sell subscriptions? Are we going to, and don't um, edit yourself. Right. So it's tempting to go, no, that's dumb. I'm not even going to write it down. No, write it
Mhm.
down. And that way you can get to your 10 and then look back and go, bad idea, bad idea. That one's not bad. That one's okay. That's horrible. But then there might be one or two pretty good ideas on that. So give yourself a quota.
Very
Another
good.
one I like is to change one word. Just change
Okay.
one word. For example, if the sales manager, say Julie, you're the sales manager for a boat dealership, right? And you're selling bass boats and ski boats. And you go, oh, we got to get more sales. How do we get more sales? And if I get locked in on that language, then I may quickly run out of ideas. But if I change one word to get more sales to discover. So Julie, when I ask you,
Okay.
or when I say the word discover, do any
Mhm.
images or other things come to mind? Just
The
on the word
first thing is a
discover.
magnifying glass, like
Magnifying glass.
being able to
Okay.
search for something.
Yeah. And I think of like a treasure map,
Okay.
right? So just the word discover. So magnifying glass goes, oh, what do I need to examine more closely?
Mhm.
What do I need to look under? Is there a map? Has somebody done this before? What is the treasure? Do I need to go a certain route that others have gone before? And so now I'm thinking about getting sales differently just because I use the word discover.
I like
Um,
it.
it might be, how do I not get more sales? Not how do I discover sales? How do I rescue more sales? What comes to mind when I say rescue?
When you say rescue, I think of like a lifeboat or like one of those circle things that a lifeguard throws out,
Okay.
like a life
Yep.
preserver.
Sure. So we have different images. So it might be first responder, it might be
Mhm.
the lifeguard, the lifeboat. It might be saving someone from a fire. But rescue, right? To me, um, makes me think of, okay, we had a sale, or we almost had a sale, didn't make it. In fact, over the last 6 months, we almost had this many and we kept good records. Can I go back to those people and say, listen, you chose not to buy from us from whatever reason. I understand that. I respect that. And I'm not trying to put pressure on you. Can you just help me understand why we didn't make this sale, why you decided against it, what was someone else? And if I listen closely, they may tell me, was it price? Was it service? Was it convenience? Was it whatever? And now I may not rescue that one, but that may help me rescue more sales in the coming months. And that may be one of those things you make a quote of. How can I discover sales, rescue sales, prompt
Mhm.
sales, steal sales, coerce sales? So those may not be the best, right? So again,
Right?
some of these are not going to be great. I don't know if I want to coerce or manipulate sales.
Mhm.
So I scratch those out and keep going down my list. But that's changing one word.
I like it, and I like the combination of changing one word with giving yourself a quota. Because I remember when I had a very short stint in, like, direct sales stuff, the advice was go for 10 no's, don't go for 1 yes, and so
Right.
it made it a lot easier to, like, accept those rejections. Because like, "Alright, I added 1 more to my
Yep.
list, so I
Every
can
no
see if I
gets you
need."
closer to that yes, right?
Yes, so give me 10 ideas, and they don't have to be great because eventually you're gonna get to one of them.
Yeah.
So I love it, and it's, like, freedom to invent badly.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of the obstacles, I guess, to creativity is, again, I'm self-regulating. And
Mhm,
so in a meeting, the boss may say, okay, we need a new marketing idea. Who's got a good one? And I may sit in the back and go, no, I'm not going to say that. That's dumb. And I don't want to look
mhm,
foolish in front of my colleagues, my friends. So I self-regulate and I don't say that. Now, on that, it may have been a decent idea. It may have been a bad idea. But as a leader, I want the bad ideas not because we're going to implement your bad idea, but I come up with an idea. And then Julie says, okay, that makes me think of this. And then Jim Bob says, oh, yeah. And maybe we could also this. And Terry says, oh, that reminds me. And 5 or 6 or 7 people in, now we have a really good idea, but we would never have gotten there had it not been for my initial bad idea.
mhm. It's a great way of looking at it. I hadn't thought of creativity in that way before. My brain is constantly in working genius mode, and so when you talk about creativity, I think of inventors who love to create and invent and throw out ideas, and how some people who don't have that invention genius maybe struggle with that, or like you said, don't want to appear stupid or have bad ideas. But like what you just described, that kind of stair stepping and building on ideas will lead to something um, bigger. So even offering a quote unquote bad idea helps your team get to something better.
It does. And part of that comes from the leadership, the culture, right? If
Hmm.
ideas have been shot down in the past and the reaction is, oh, we tried that back in 94, or no, that's
Yeah.
dumb. Who's got another idea? Well, nobody's going to stick their neck out after you just
Right.
chopped off this one. And so that may be a message, and it may be a shift for some leaders to go, okay, we're going to change things a little bit. I want to hear all the ideas. Fair notice, we're not going to implement them all. Maybe not
Hmm.
any of them, but let's just see where it goes.
Hmm.
In fact, one of the tools that we teach sometimes is called the best bad idea,
Okay.
because as we said in that meeting, it may be people may be reluctant to volunteer an idea, going, "Oh, that's not good enough. I'm not sure. That's kind of lame." But if I as leader say, "Okay, we're going to switch this around. Give me a horrible idea. It may be illegal, unethical. It's exorbitantly expensive. It would never fly, but just let's just see where it goes." And then, so we're not going to use that idea, but we're going to riff off that. Okay, we're not going to use this, but how could we change it and make it a little better? And then somebody else says, okay, yeah, that's not bad, but what if we did this? What if we did this? And it's interesting. I've seen that done where people may not say, oh, I've got a good idea. But if you ask for bad ideas, they'll compete. Go, oh, you think that was bad? Wait till you hear this one. This is horrible. And then we tweak it a little bit more until
Hmm.
it may become a usable idea.
I think that'd be a really fun exercise to do with a team.
It's fun.
um, to just get the ideas flowing, that no limit thinking. So yeah, I
Yeah.
makes me want to use that sometime.
We've talked about that. Just to, one example was compensation. What if,
Mm.
right? Because so we're competing for employees. How do we recruit? How do we retain people better? And go, I got a horrible idea. What if we made employees pay us to work here? Now, employees would go, that's ridiculous. Nobody's going to do that. Okay, so maybe not that, but how could we make that a little better?
Hmm.
So most people would agree. I have to pay to work there? That's horrible. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Next.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. So as you've taught this class, is there a most common like aha moment that people have during the session?
The ones that come to mind are, and we kind of like we're doing here, we try to have some fun, and some of the experts will say it needs to be open-minded, lighthearted. There's a time to implement a decision. Right now, I'm not there. We're just trying to think of options. And so, as we said, we're going to take all ideas. There will be lots of time later to critique, to plan, to budget. Does it align with policy? We're not worried about any of that right now. We just want lots of ideas. But too often, we start critiquing and go, oh, that'll never fit in the budget. I'm not even going to write it down. That's probably going to go against policy. The board will never approve that. And so I'm again self-regulating, where just put them all out on the table like a buffet, and we'll pick and choose later as we go. So it's that lightheartedness. It's that mindset that people go, oh, this was kind of fun. I could do this.
Hmm.
As I tell a story about brother-in-law, very handy guy, and he can fix just about anything, and he has one of every tool I think known to man.
Yeah.
And so I watch him fix something. I go, oh, that makes sense. I see that step. I could probably do that if I had a diagram and all these great tools. So that's what we try to do in these workshops is say, here's a template.
Hmm.
Step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And I'm a linear. If I have a checklist or a recipe, I can follow it. And if we have the tools, so that's the change one word tool, or take over
Hmm.
time, or best bad idea. And once you learn the tool, oh, I can apply that to whatever the problem is. If that's employee retention, if that's a marketing campaign, if that's whatever it is, growing your business.
Very good. I love it. And I think bib, I'm going to incorporate bib, the buffet, the bad idea buffet. I like
Perfect.
acronyms, so bib. Bib is good.
Yeah, that'll work.
Bib is good. So have you had any ideas that started bad and then have, morphed into something really great?
Oh gosh, let's see. I've had plenty of bad ideas. Some of them I just decided, yeah, that's a bad idea. I'm not moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure I have. If one comes to me, I'll tell you, but it's not coming right off the top.
Okay. That's fine. I do want to pop up this comment. I think if you're watching and you know who I work for, you might recognize Kyle's last name. So yeah, Rebecca says she's joining in the call. She's kind of fond of this guest. I wonder why. And why is that, Kyle?
Yeah, my best friend that I live with and
Speaking of good
married 20
ideas,
years
right?
ago. Yeah. Oh, best idea I've ever had was marrying that girl.
Very good. I love it. So what is maybe what is typically thought of as like an unconventional career or position that wouldn't necessarily be creative, but could benefit from being more creative? I don't know if I worded that right.
I think there are lots. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people when they think creativity, well, it's like I said, a songwriter, an actor, an
Mm-hmm.
artist, a marketing person who needs to come up with these new, or advertising needs to come up with these new ideas. But could also be a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in university and grade school, that, okay, I've taught this lesson the same way the last 7 years. Is there a new way I could approach that around current events? Or I'm not really reaching this student. What's a different way to approach that or to get through to that student?
Mm-hmm.
It could be, somebody in the trades, a plumber or carpenter going, wow, this is so a lot of this does apply to creative problem solving. How could I
Okay.
approach this problem differently? Because what I've done in the past isn't working. Do I need to look at it upside down, backwards, inside out? Do I need to change steps, rearrange the steps? And so these tools that we talk about, Scamper is one, take over time. They're not a panacea of, oh, I'll just use this tool and I'm going to have 1,000 new ideas and
Mm-hmm.
they're all going to be amazing. It doesn't work like that. If you look at artists from history, and I had the numbers at one time, but if you think of someone like Picasso, people would recognize one of the world's greatest painters. But I saw some stats on how many, recognized masterpieces, and there were a lot more than I have,
Mm-hmm.
but hundreds and hundreds of other works that never got any recognition, and then
Mm-hmm.
hundreds more that he started, never finished. So he started, nah, that's not a good idea, and abandoned it. And so those people don't bat 1,000. Even some of the people we think of as the most creative
Mm-hmm.
don't hit a home run every time. And so that takes a little pressure off me to go, oh, I don't have to
Yeah.
have a brilliant idea every time.
Right.
So that works, I think, can work for any career, any job. Going, how can I look at this differently? How can I help our team meet the sales goal? How can I retain employees longer? And be willing to look at that just from a different lens.
I love that. I think that even just what we've talked about in this, 30 minutes is really helpful. And I'm thinking of other conversations and contexts in which I can bring this up and use it, because there are other times in training where people run into those roadblocks because they just think, well, that's not my role, or I can't do that. And just the very simple things that you've talked about, I think, are really easy ways for people to walk through that barrier versus just stopping. So I know this has been useful for
Yeah.
me. I
Good.
hope it's been useful for the people watching. Um, I know, I remember I said, like, I don't want to script our conversation because it's going to go very fast. And believe it or not, it has gone very
It
fast.
has.
My clock says 12:29, but I guess we started a couple minutes late because we're only at 25 minutes on the recording. So before we wrap up, are there any other thoughts or words of advice or questions that you want to ask to either me or the audience?
A couple of thoughts since you asked. One is don't be afraid to come up with the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a wrong answer in the ideation phase. Like I said, we'll have plenty of time to look at the budget and policy
Mm-hmm.
and just ask, what if? What if we could do this? We probably can't, but what if we could? And then if you can, put yourself in the mindset and be childlike in that exploration. If you've
Mm-hmm.
seen, right, picture this, a kid at Christmas, big present at Christmas, takes the wrapping paper off. There's a big box. They open the box. They take the toy out and play with it. The box, not the toy,
Yes,
right?
the
So they
box.
can, with this box, they can make a pirate ship or a castle or a tank or whatever. And they're just so creative. But I guess when we get older, I have to stay in my lane, and this is the way we do things here, and this is what corporate says. And so just let yourself go back to that
Yeah,
childlike mindset and play with the idea a little bit.
yeah, I love that. I think I've experienced that in my life too. We tend to have the creativity beat out of us. Um, I experienced that with writing. So I love that. Go back to your childlike, let your mind wander. And I think Emily, she says great advice. So I think she likes the idea of going back to that childlike creativity and freedom to think outside of the box or crawl in the box, as you
That's right.
described, and make it
Exactly.
whatever we want.
Exactly
Maybe we
right.
need to crawl in the box more
Crawl
often.
in the box. Yeah.
Crawl in the box. So well, thank you, Kyle, for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I certainly did. My cheeks hurt from smiling the whole time.
Had a great
Um,
time. It's such a pleasure to be with you and get to talk about this fun stuff.
yeah, it is fun. So, and for those of you watching, which LinkedIn on Meridian's page says we got 15 people watching over there and 9 watching on my page. So, if you're here watching, thank you for being here. And I wish you would
Absolutely.
drop a comment so we can say hi. Um, but if someone wanted to maybe hire you for a creativity class, what would be the best way to do that?
The website is 99xcreativity.com.
Okay.
Because we have some ideas that'll give you 99 times or 99x the ideas you
Okay.
already have. And then an email, kyle@99xcreativity.com.
Okay, I'm gonna drop those. You said Kyle at 99xcreativity.com. Okay. Hopefully that worked. I dropped those in the comments on the Meridian page. So if you're not watching on the Meridian page, go click over there and you can see the links to that website and Kyle's email. And of course, I'm sure you would be welcome to connect on LinkedIn, right?
Of course. Sure.
Okay, perfect. Go look up Kyle on LinkedIn. I'm going to find your profile and drop it in the comments too. Because LinkedIn is wonderful and it's a great way to connect with people and learn from one another. And hey, it's live on your profile too, because there I see us talking. Oopsies.
Fantastic.
I clicked on the wrong thing. Close that and there. Connect with Kyle. So, all right. Oh, we have more comments. Oh, Sarah was watching. She said great. Bradley enjoyed it. Thanks for being here, Bradley, and commenting. Jacqueline says, great topic. And yes, Rebecca says, Meridian can help schedule Kyle for your business. So yes, of course, feel free to reach out to us at Meridian. As a matter of fact, if you scan this QR code, it will take you to Meridian's webpage for leadership and staff development. And Marcy Luter would be the person that you talk to get that scheduled for your business. So with that, Kyle, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you guys all for watching. Mark your calendars for the first Friday in April, which is the 4th, I believe the 5th. The 5th. And I do not know who my guest is yet, but it's going to be somebody
It'll
awesome,
be
just like
fabulous.
Kyle. Going to be awesome. So, again, thank you, Kyle, for being here. Thank you to you guys for watching and for supporting Meridian Technology Center and the Ascent. And I hope to see you next time. We'll talk to you later.